in Malacca in Malaysia, city with great heritage. Back in the old times, Portuguese traders came here, Dutch traders. Eventually the English took over. These buildings are old Dutch colonial style buildings in the heart of the old city of Malacca. So let's have a look around this part of the city. Clock tower. There's a bridge over the river into the Chinese part of the town. Take a little walk around this area. The old Christ Church of Melaka. Interesting that the Dutch like to paint their colonial buildings this kind of color, this kind of, I don't know what it is, like a kind of burnt red color. This street is the main street that goes out to the bus station, the bus terminal, to go to other parts of the country. And there's a Little India area out here where they have little Indian people, apparently, I guess. I don't know, I'm gonna find out. Come along and let's check it. But you know, big Indians are okay as well, no problem with that, but I'm just curious, really. Another square here and another church. A lot of European history around here, and the river is just over on the other side of this square. Seems to be a bit of a parking area. I think further down there's still some interesting buildings, but I might skip that for now. Let's go around the back way here. Some kind of I would assume 1950s, 1960s type architecture. It's got its own style. It's kind of cool. I mean, anything's better than modern architecture. Well, there's some nice modern architecture, but a lot of it is like really soulless. But I guess if you like other stuff, then it's up to you, but that's what I think. Let's see what's back in here. See if you like other stuff. Here's something for you. This is what I mean. Kind of don't like those ones much. What is that place? It's got like some kind of barbed wire fence around it. Maybe it's something official. Cheap apartments for police or something like that, maybe. But here, nice building. Not really a touristy part back in here. And the hill. I think the Portuguese set up a lot of their stuff on this hill in the beginning, because obviously it would have been easier to defend, and it was right next to the river overlooking it. And then the Dutch came along and blasted their way in and had stuff up there as well, and some stuff down on the flat part here next to the water, of course. I guess it's convenient. And the British added more. Oh, there's a pillbox over there, so this might be connected with military, this place. Probably shouldn't be filming it then, huh? So we're gonna go up on this hill at some point. I think it's that same crow from before. So this looks kind of interesting. Not the tourist stuff, I mean. It's just the walk along the side here. So I'm in the Stadthaus, which is City Hall in Dutch. Now they have a cafe in this area, and there's a museum in here, which I was quite disappointed to find that they double price it. They charge 10 ringgit for Malaysians and 20 ringgit for foreigners, which I think is blatant discrimination. This is part of the museum in here. I think they're not allowed in this part actually. So we're up around the side of the Stadthaus. From up here you can see there's over there in the distance is the old Mittelsburg fort, and that used to stop aggressive, unfriendly types coming up the river to mess with the town in the colonial days. Bunch of cannons on there. And we're gonna have a look up the hill here. There's some remnants of colonial times up here as well. Let's have a look up here. Ooh, Gallery of Admiral Chang Ho. Interesting. For those who know a bit about history, Chang Ho was a Chinese admiral who sailed all the way to East Africa from China, and some people think he even went to North America. That would be a bit interesting for sure, especially if you don't know about him. So out in the distance you can see the Straits of Malacca, and I think about 80 kilometers across there you come to the outerlying islands of next to Sumatra, Indonesia. So this is one of the narrowest parts of the Straits of Malacca. It was a strategic choke point in the old times, and it could be today as well if people wanted to do something like that. And we get a little bit of a view over the town here. Over there you see there's a replica of a Caravel in the distance. I guess that would be like a Portuguese Caravel, I guess, or maybe it's a Dutch ship, I'm not sure, but I would assume Portuguese, since Portuguese were here first before the Dutch. You can see there's a few ships out there. It's one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Today, Singapore has supplanted Malacca as the main choke point of the Straits of Malacca. So I think it is the busiest shipping lane in the world, actually. Well, let's go further up and see what's up further up here. And there's the ruins of what was a church and a fort, which the Portuguese built. This was the central point on the top of the hill. The hill was a fortification. The Dutch came and destroyed everything, and then they built their own church on top of the foundations of the Portuguese church. So the oldest parts of this church are Portuguese. I guess the bottom parts, and then the rest is Dutch. Or yeah, I'd like to know exactly which parts are which actually. Maybe it says it on this board here. Let's have a look. St. Paul's Hill. Yeah, it does feel a bit spiritual in there, I have to admit. It's a nice spot. It's cooler inside. I think some of these are gravestones of Dutch people. I know there was a Dutch graveyard around the church, so these are pretty impressive tombstones. I guess they've moved them inside for safekeeping, perhaps. And down at the bottom of the hill, you can see there's a gate that was an original Portuguese gate where the walls wrapped around to the left and the right around the base of the hill to make the fortifications, and the walls were destroyed. The gate remains. We'll have a look at that later, closer up. This is the Formosa Gate. I think it's pronounced like that, but it's probably pronounced very differently. This is one of the few remaining things from the Portuguese. Very cool looking. There used to be walls that came to the left and right of this gate. This was the entrance gate to the colonial settlement on the hill that the Portuguese built. They have these really horrible tuk-tuks here. I think they should ban them. In the nighttime they have hundreds of them, like racing all around, and they act like pedestrians should just jump out of their way or get run over. Weird looking things. Look like tuk-tuks on acid. Probably fun if you're on acid, but if you're just walking around normally, yeah, they're really noisy at nighttime, I can say. Ooh, that's what I need. A couple armored cars. You never know when you might need an armored car. Especially if you get too popular. So this building in here is a replica that was built in the mid-80s of the old Sultans Palace, which I think used to be on top of the hill before the Portuguese came along. It's really nice. Wow, beautiful building. This is what they think it looked like, or something similar. So here's a replica of an old Caravel, Portuguese Caravel, I believe. I don't know if it's exact size or not, I'm not sure. It's part of the Malacca Maritime Museum, which has, again, double pricing. I think it's very bad to charge foreigners more, but they charge double for foreigners. And you see there's this harbor area here, and I believe this is where, okay, immigration is in here, and there are fast ferries that go out there and cross over to Indonesia. And from what I've seen on the internet, it says 2 hours crossing time. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but this building over here is the place where they stamp you out and you board the ferry either here or on the other side. I'm not sure. The water goes around the other side of this. This is actually a peninsula coming around like this, and there's a bridge at the far side where you cross over to get into the immigration area and leave the country by ferry. So there's another view of the Stadthuis up there on the lower reaches of the hill, and up behind the trees up there is the church that we went to before, which was the old fort in the past, part of it anyway. But this, and there's the other church over there, the Christ Church, and this also is a fort area here. It probably looks like it connected to what would have been the walls that went around the base of the hill. So I guess it was part of the fortifications of the whole place. Not a standalone defense, but a part of the main defenses. Here's some information about it also. Here's a local specialty dessert in Malacca called cendol. Here's a cool old pharmacy. Don't see so many of these ones around anymore in Southeast Asia. This area is a bit out near the edge of the older part of the city, and the next block over is called Little India. I just had some really nice food over there. The food prices in this area seem a lot more like normal prices. In the other areas, definitely tourist prices, quite often double the normal price for the same kind of dishes. But yeah, in general, seems like over this area it's just like the local kind of thing going on. It's a little bit quiet now, getting later in the day. Like going through that way and then kind of, I think, to the left or right, and then through another small lane you come out on another road quite similar to this one, which is Little India, where you can get nice Indian food.